somebody recently asked me whether I could, drop the critical rationalism, which is the epistemology. And I said, not really. They said, couldn't you just talk about the theory of liberty and the consequences, but just don't mention the epistemology, because it adds an extra layer of complexity and will be off-putting to some people. And I said, not because if I try to avoid it, it will come up at some point. And in particular, they'll say, well, you said this and that, but you haven't justified why, so I might as well just come straight out and say it, also because I use it all the way along. So the idea of critical rationalism it's a broader epistemology than falsificationism. Karl Popper's falsificationism was the idea that scientific theories have to be empirically falsifiable. You can't support them. A universal theory, doesn't matter how much evidence you've got in favour of it, apparently in favour of it, and all that evidence is theory-laden anyway, so, it's not like this. We've got the fact, that's theory-laden observation. If you've got an infinite theory, and scientific theories, that's their general form, they're universal, a finite number of observations can't support it, but one could falsify it if we classify that observation as accurate. Now, we could be wrong, but you might see something that could be a black swan. But you couldn't see something that would be all swans being white. In principle, you couldn't observe the truth of a universal theory, but you could observe a single falsification. Now, Popper took that scientific theory and, with help of various other people, including Lakatos and W. Bartley, extended it into a complete epistemology. And the way that the complete epistemology works is says you simply, everything, all knowledge proceeds by conjecture or assumption, it's the same thing, and then test or criticism. A test is a kind of criticism. It's just specific kind of criticism. So that's all we ever have. Now, in the realm of the empirical, I've already explained. In the realm of argument, you always have arguments with assumptions. Now, those assumptions, you either admit that they're assumptions and that your argument is, obviously it's based on assumptions, which is to say it has no support at all, because an assumption is not a support, or you have an infinite regress as you try to support your assumptions and then support those, or you have circularity, and that's what a lot of Rothbardians seem to do, as they jump around from this sort of thing about homesteading and then property, and they're actually sort of moving around in a circle, but they're not actually creating anything underneath. Or you have a dogmatic starting point where you just say it's self-evident. Well, yeah, you say it's self-evident, but some things which have been thought to be self-evident have later turned out to be false. So it's still an assumption. So I say that the best approach to libertarianism is to admit that it's a conjecture and then to seek criticisms.